along the rail trackside, and we're talking about other people's picks in night school. And Joe Christofek, Jeremy Plunk, and Caton Braid are on the night school team. We've all been track handicappers at different tracks around the country on the simulcast feeds. Caton, it's a challenge having to get your picks in ahead of time as a public handicapper.
Well, yeah, most of the time you're doing them 48 hours at least in advance. You don't know whether you're going to be on the grass or off the grass. You don't know if the main track's going to be sloppy or fast. You also don't know if trainers have other intentions, if they're cross-entering horses, what spot they're actually going to run in can completely change the dynamic of the race, the pace of the race. So there are a lot of variables that you just can't control.
Joe, you also do a morning line, so you're doing a lot of work in advance of a race. Talk about the couple days leading up to a race for a public handicapper like you.
Yeah, well, the races get drawn, and then you work on the morning line, and that's my first run through. And I also do picks for the Daily Herald newspaper and for the Horse Player Now Buzz and so on and so forth. And once those picks get sent and are printed, you can't do anything about them. If you're on a simulcast feed, you might be able to make changes. But in this day and age, Jeremy, if you are in print, you are able to make adjustments to those selections via Twitter, because you do have real-time analysis now, so that does help. But when you're looking at print, it's really, really difficult to evaluate how your picks are going to do based on all the different factors that Caton mentioned earlier with the weather and so on and so forth. So do your best to make adjustments and call audibles on the fly.
I think Twitter's a great use of public handicappers and other people's picks moving forward. You see some of the better handicappers in the country for the simulcast feeds have their Twitter feeds, and you can follow those. It's free, and it's something you can have on your mobile device as you're walking throughout the track. As you're walking throughout the track, how much do you listen to other people at the racetrack? Not necessarily the public handicappers, but the other people. Everybody's got an opinion.
Oh yeah, you could stand in line and change your mind 5 times depending on what track you're at and what race it is. Particularly, I think maiden races or 2-year-old races, you'll hear every opinion. Sometimes you walk up and there's at least 8 people who like their horse strongly. So I try to ignore information that comes from other people unless it's something that I know to be truly inside information. If I know someone who's getting on a horse or has intimate contact with the horse or the operation, then I might pay more attention to it. Other than that, I think you're just as well off looking at the tote board to see what's going on in the betting as you are listening to just everybody who happens to walk by.
Joe, when you're at Arlington Park, you work with Jessica Pacheco on the simulcast feed there. I think she's one of the more respected simulcast handicappers. She puts in the time. Who are some of the other people around the country? As a seasoned handicapper yourself, when they say something on the feed and your ears perk up, who are you listening to on the simulcast feeds to give you a little bit of advice?
Well, Caton Braid, of course. Caton would definitely be up there. Jill Byrne would definitely be up there. For me, I'm looking for people that are creative. Anyone can pick the top 4 favorites at the bottom of a program and make a case for those horses. I want someone to tell me something that I don't know. I follow Chicago racing very, very closely. I don't follow some of the other circuits very closely. Tell me something that I can't read in the daily racing form. I think Brad Thomas at Monmouth Park does an excellent job. I think Andy Serling in New York does an excellent job, because these are people that put in the work and they truly love it, and they watch replays and they evaluate the PPs and they listen to everything that's going on. So they're engulfed in their job. Those are the kind of people that I want to listen to.
You mentioned the replays. I know Kurt Hoover, my buddy out at Hollywood Park, he told me one time if he handicaps a card without watching all the replays, he feels like he's handicapping naked. And if you know Kurt, that's not a good sight. But I think you put in the work, like Joe was talking about, with the folks who do the analysis. You find the people who really put in the work. That's the key to it, because these people do it for a full-time job and take it seriously, most of them.
Absolutely, and I think longevity with a place or familiarity is really important. You know, Joe mentioned people that I respect a lot as well in Andy Serling. He's been in New York for years and years. He's studied, he knows the circuit. Brad Thomas, who I've got to work with, I respect greatly. I listen to him above just about anybody else when he's talking about New Jersey racing. He's been here for years. I think when people have passed the test of time, so to speak, you take it for granted that they have familiarity with the circuit and know what they're talking about.
Familiarity, trust, those are the kind of things that you're looking for when you are analyzing other people's picks.